I went live, so we're.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah,
Okay.
congratulations.
Well, I guess I'm not balancing
I think
it
it
then.
needs to flip.
Oh.
I accidentally hit the button.
Yeah.
Here we are live. I don't know if y'all can figure that out already. Excuse all the noise. It's very windy. Later on, you'll see some footage of me recovering the solar panels that fell off my roof that I was trying to grab. Not today, during the wind, but they were up on the roof and they got sucked off. Today, though, I wanted to go off a little bit from solar, and with Snowmageddon that happened here, I guess a lot of the country, but certainly here in Texas, it was really bad. And you had a lot of people that are like, I need power. They're out for power for many days. And even if you had solar panels, didn't necessarily generate much power. First of all, because if you are connected grid tie and you don't have battery backup, I'm sure most of you know that if you're on this channel. The second is there wasn't a whole lot of sun, which is one of the reasons it was so cold. I have a Civic Hybrid, which means it has a big electric motor between the engine and the transmission. So one of the things I was thinking about was, could I use the three-phase motor on this thing to be a nice big generator, so that if my solar wasn't big enough or wasn't getting enough sun to keep my house powered, could I just use something like this? These cars are really cheap now. I mean, this is a 2005 model, but it should have the capability to generate about 10 kilowatts worth of energy. So I've done a little bit of, I should probably pop the hood and show, not that there's a whole lot to see, but at least tell you guys what we're trying to do. Found it. So in here, it's the integrated motor assist. So unlike the Prius, which is a very complicated integrated setup, this is essentially just a 1.3 liter Honda 4-cylinder engine with a 10 kW electric motor and then the transmission. And it's even a manual transmission, which for this doesn't really matter if these are going to be staying in neutral. But when that engine is turning, the rotor, I think it'd be the rotor inside the motor is, inside the electric motor is turning. So if we put a load on the three-phase output of that, with this engine just idling in neutral, we should be able to get some power out. So that's the idea. So the beauty, and one of the beauties is that unlike the Prius, where everything is up front, in this Honda Civic, I should probably be actually waiting until it was supposed to be live to start explaining this stuff. It's 7:15. Hey guys, for those of you that knew it was starting at 7:15 and I accidentally started early, I was just talking about how I have a Honda Civic Hybrid and we're going to use it as a generator. That's the idea anyway. So I was just explaining the Civic Hybrid, so you probably didn't want to know about that. You can always go back and rewatch. The bits that make this a hybrid are mostly behind the rear seat of this car. So back here, behind the big warning labels, I'm going to flip this breaker off so that we're slightly more safe than we were. Behind the big warning labels of, be careful, this is 144 volt DC and it will kill you, which is not a lie. We have all the things. So this here is a big old nickel metal hydride 144 volt nominal battery pack. This one was built in 2005 and actually still works amazingly. So these are your big high voltage terminals, which are off, and then there's also a relay that doesn't click on until the car tells it to. So this is just an extra precaution. But I will be starting the car at some point, so I want that off. So that turns off the hybrid battery to the rest of the system. And this car can actually be driven with that off. It's very sluggish. And then over here, you've got some big capacitors, you've got like a battery management system type thing, and I think there's another ECU back here somewhere. But what we really care about are these three terminals, which are these three terminals down low, and these are the three-phase input from the motor up front. So what I'm going to do is remove these from these terminals here and connect that to a rectifier. And basically what that makes this is the same thing as a wind turbine, except much more predictable. Wind turbine would actually work today because it's super windy. I think we're getting like 30-mile-an-hour gusts out there. Maybe 30-mile-an-hour sustained, but we don't usually get that kind of wind.
Like Ken Glass was asking, when are we finishing the battery?
When are we finishing the battery? We're finishing the battery on Monday. I appreciate that you are anxious about that. I'm sorry, we didn't get it done in an hour. My brother told me afterwards, like, yeah, we should have just kept doing it. I'm like, you're right, but I told everyone it was gonna be 1 hour, and I cut it off at 1 hour. I wanted to keep my word. But now I'm like, I don't know. I kind of regret that because we should have just finished the battery. We will finish it though. And next time, within reason, we'll start the project and we'll finish it. So, all right. I need to get a socket set, and I'm gonna take this apart and see if we can land my rectifier right here on these 3 terminals. And that will be the start of our project.
So behind the scenes of our fancy life set here.
Right? Except we stole 1 light.
Oh yeah. Let me come over to this side so you can go in and out.
Thanks. Let's see.
Okay, so Ken Glass says nice shop, and Dan Gore says we need electrical gloves. You can still get shocked, which is a fair point because there's capacitors in there.
Oh, shoot. This is why I bring you guys along with me, right? That would mean I would need a resistor. Dang it. I suppose I could measure for voltage, right?
Yep. This car.
Sorry, should I vacuum the car out first? So this, okay, so let's go around and measure. We've got, this would have been DC voltage. So that's dead. That's dead. Let's see about down here. Dead. 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 Is that's really just one big cat, but it's 3 individuals, it looks like. But it's wired in as one. That appears to be dead. All right, so I'm gonna touch one thing at a time.
I'm not gonna touch anything.
That's a really good idea. Alright. Those have been down. Let me grab my rectifier. Nice of me to stand right in front of the light, huh?
Yeah, we hadn't thought that through. Is that from the windmill on the truck?
I did buy this rectifier, well, I don't know if you can tell, this is from my last attempt at the same project. But I did it without disconnecting the 3 cables from the rest of the system. So when I started charging off of it, it started depleting the battery real quick. And I was hearing buzzing from the capacitors or something. And I was like, nope, not doing this. And I kind of didn't get back to it. So that's why this time around, I want to isolate all these bits from the motor up front. So I'm just gonna have a charge controller connected instead of these other Honda bits.
Dan Goris asks, is that rectifier 100 amp?
This rectifier, let's see. Yeah, it actually is. 100 amp, 1600 volts.
Oh, what does it say? Okay. I have no idea if that did anything. It says orientation is locked. I should rotate the device back.
Don't do it. All right, I don't think I'm gonna do that. All right, so this should go right up in there. I want to get. Let's see if we can do it like that. I want to get something to stick up in there so that I don't short anything out, like a piece of cardboard or something. I think.
Bubble wrap? Nah, maybe not.
Hopefully nobody out there is stupid enough to do this themselves like me. Hopefully that's just me. Y'all can just be along for the ride. All right.
Ken Glass asks for a shop tour.
A shop tour? We could do that. Most of the shop isn't actually ours. We're kind of subleasing from some guys since we're.
You want to do it right now?
We're just babies. So this is shelving, yay! This is kind of a repair space where we've been repairing some panels that we get have bad junction boxes or diodes or whatnot. So repairing and staging for our repairs, keeping lawn trailers, you know, just in case we need a side business of our side business. But our shop goes up that yellow pole over there, and then
That pole.
yeah. And then over here you can see our 4 pallets of our 310 watt panels that just came in. And that's kind of that corner of the shop there. So really not a whole lot. And then of course our corner that has the our little studio, which we'll hopefully be making a lot of use of. And obviously you can see the battery that we have yet to finish. But has a nice little surprise to it when we come back to that on Monday. What the things you find out when you slow down and realize what you're doing. I need to pull, I probably need to connect my DC off of this before I go in and connect the AC, just because it's going to be easier to access. So I need to get my inverter and stuff set up over here. I may have not brought enough wires.
Oh no.
This is what I was going to use.
All right, walk us through what's going to happen after the DC sign.
So this here is my double 10 gauge. So that should be able to handle my 60 amps. Well, actually, it should be a whole lot less than 60 amps because the last time I did this, I think I was hitting 150 or more volts with even just the engine idling. So this will be plenty of copper to get here. So this should get from the rectifier, which takes the 3-phase AC and gets us DC. It'll be very choppy DC. And this will get us to our charge controller. And I grabbed the Make Sky Blue that I had at home. And we'll go PV input with our rectifier. Then from there, I'm gonna connect the battery. I'm missing a cable. Surely I can find one around here somewhere. So we'll connect the battery to our inverter, 48-volt inverter, and we'll connect the charge controller to the inverter. So we'll use those kind of our terminal blocks of sorts. And so I should be able to charge the battery at up to 60 amps. It's a 60 amp charge controller. And then run the inverter off of that as well. And that's because this battery is only like maybe 800 watt hours. So we'll fill it up real quick with this kind of capacity. So let me run these guys. And yes, please do ask questions. I'm gonna be over here.
We had Dan asking about, what was it? Fuses, just in case the rectifier goes south?
Fuses if the rectifier goes south.
Well, he more or less suggested you better get a fuse just in case the rectifier goes south.
I'm trying to think of where the fuse would be. Would that be between... I guess that would be between the rectifier and the charge controller. It's a fair thought. Because usually I do have a fuse there. But this wire does not have fuse.
Well, you should make
Dang
one
it,
wire
you people
anyways.
making me think. Thank you. Two non-fuses. All right, y'all keeping me safe. I appreciate it. These fuses are really cheap.
Oh, is the fuse pulling apart?
Oh, no, it came out. I have definitely pulled one apart before, though, and it, like, the fuse came out of the plastic.
No.
It's like, well, that worked. Okay, so this is now fused at 30 amps per wire.
Alright, Ken asks, what kind of wire end do you use to get wires in Make Sky Blue? Don't know what to use, nothing fits.
To get into the Make Sky Blue,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it's it only accepts up to 10 gauge, which is why I've got all this double 10 gauge. I went like all 10 gauge stuff because that's the max that Make Sky Blue can do.
Caleb had it over on the live set. The wire stripper?
Stripper?
Yeah.
Over there?
Yeah.
I have seen somebody do something neat, which was take a terminal like this, so they could put their like 6 gauge wire into a nice beefy terminal, and they cut out the middle portion here, and it actually slipped into the Make Sky Blue or the Palmister terminals into both terminals at once, and then you could actually have your 6 gauge wire instead of having to use 10 gauge. I thought that was pretty slick. I haven't done it, but. Okay, now we've got a fuse positive. Not very long.
Ow.
No.
That was the roof. It's a tiny car. Ken says, great idea, thank you. And Dan says, y'all are scaring me with this Make Sky Blue.
What do you use, Dan? think it should be more like, you know, use the blue sky instead of make sky blue. I wonder if that's like a lost in translation thing. Use the blue sky. Oh, that means make sky blue. I got this. I suppose I could run over there and do an EP ever instead and make sky blue. That one you can do like 6-gauge wire, I think, into. They're a little more pricey.
Ken says, a lot of them have bank of 5, and Dan says midnight can't go wrong.
Ah, midnight, yeah. I won't argue there. Those are, everything I've seen is those are very nice units.
Does that talk to spec?
Was that a Ben question?
Yep.
It's Guten tight. You just wanted me to say it.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. So these will need to come out.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I heard it.
This is the car that we drove here in. So Ben asked me before we came over. It's like, what are the chances that this car is gonna run when you're done?
That was basically my decision if I should take my car or not.
I said, I'm like 99% sure I can do this without breaking the car. Maybe we can do can we do like a wager? I don't think YouTube supports that.
Okay, Dan says, yeah, your brother had that EPEVER, E-P-E-V-E-R. I don't know what that is.
EP-ever.
EPEVER, what is that?
It's a charge controller.
Oh, okay.
This is tight.
Seems like a very practical solution to do that in 0-degree weather.
Oh, this here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess ideally you would have some big, like, a switch somewhere like you would have for a, like if you want to run a generator, run a generator on your house, you would have a switch, a lockout switch. So you'd be able to lock out this section of everything and just have your charge controller section.
Ken says midnight great makes sky blue great for money.
So make sky blue and midnight. I guess that's like, if you have both of those, then does that mean that you can charge your batteries during the day and at night?
I mean, I guess if you make the sky blue, there's no midnight anymore.
So definitely one or the other. Huh?
Yeah.
This is proving a little more difficult than I thought. I need smaller fingers.
I mean, I have somewhat smaller fingers, but...
Got one.
Alright, you got it.
You'll have to forgive the live stream quality. Caleb and Ben are my masters at technology and media. And they had a set up on Monday. And then today I was like, I want to go do a live stream. So I pulled Ben down here. But we're just running on my iPhone.
Yeah, how's the audio and the quality of the live stream? Is there anything that we need to improve right now? Oh, we just said 8 people watching, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, 8 people that are watching me work on a project. It's kind of a weird phenomenon. A lot of times I work on projects alone, and now I'm sharing it with the world. It's I don't know. I haven't quite wrapped my head around it. I don't know how well this will work long term, but I thought it could be cool. This is the part where I need an open-end wrench. I don't know that I've got any of those here. I'm gonna go look. I don't think I can get a screwdriver in there.
Would this be of help?
Screwdriver? No, because it needs to be Phillips.
No, it has like a wrench thing here.
Okay.
I mean, that would be the first time this is actually useful.
Okay.
I've never used it for anything else before. Okay, we got a comment. Let me see. What MPPT charge controller can handle a lot of solar? Ken asks.
A lot of solar. I mean, let's see. The ones that I've messed with have all been 60 amp. So technically they've all been able to handle the same amount of solar. Now, of course, with 60 amps, and you may already know this, that's different at 12 volts than it is at 48 volts. So if you've got, like, well, this Make Sky Blue that I'm using is a 60 amp. So when I hook it up to this 48 volt battery, it should be able to charge at about 2.8 kilowatts. And that would be the same whether it was off of a generator like this or it was from solar. I think the Midnight Classics are like, I think they're 60 or 80 amp. I think you can do 80 amps on those as well. Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know what you've got.
Dan also asks, what do you do besides this for a living? Classic YouTube question.
Classic YouTube question. I'm in IT. I feel like that's a lot of people though that do YouTube, or at least that I've seen on YouTube. Like who is it? Watch JR Go. Like he was in IT. He did storage. He worked for like EMC. They fired him for having a YouTube channel, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
I was trying to think of who else it was. I don't know, but of course it probably also is just a matter of I notice the people that are in IT because I am.
And Dan says, Ken would be probably a Soul Arc. If I have big money, I don't stick with Midnight.
Soul Arc is what I really want. I haven't been able to justify the $8,000, but yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah. But you can do, like, I mean, I think it can do. It must have a really good charge controller. I don't remember it being specified in amps. I'm sure it is, but I think you can do like 8,000 watts worth of panels on the Solarc, and what was I going to say? You do the high voltage. So most charge controllers, you're going to top out around 150 to 200 volts for these solar inputs. You end up paralleling a lot of solar panels. With the Solarc, I think it's like 500 or 600 volts that you can do. So much smaller gauge wire from the panels to the charge controller. That's one of the main reasons I like Solarc. So like with my system at my house, the strings that I'm putting in for my grid tie inverter, if I ever drop a Solarc in, I can just land those strings over the Solarc and start producing power off the Solarc. I don't have to go reconfigure my strings to be, 3 or 4 panels a piece instead of like 10.
Dan says, yeah, me either. Forget 8,000. I'm off grid, so. And we have Travis Sanders saying, I used my Prius fed into my Midnight Classic.
So, Travis, when you did that, did you feed the 12 volt in or did you feed the high voltage in? Because I was thinking about that, because I've got a Prius at the house too.
That now runs.
And well, we think it does.
Oh yeah, true.
It's a plug-in hybrid right now because the 12 volt battery's dead, so I've been trickle charging it. I checked it today. It's been like 24 hours and that trickle charger is still charging. Like,
oh no.
It still says it needs to be charged.
Oh. That one's a dead battery.
It might be a dead battery. I need to find something better.
Elementary says, funny, I'm watching this on my phone and my power is out. Battery, oh dang it. It went away. Oh.
Maybe it's because his power went out.
Says, battery backup, keeping my router going. I need a solar setup. Well, I mean, like, we got the stuff for that, right?
I know who that is. He might be playing with me.
Travis says 250 volts.
250?
Yeah, so in the Prius.
Well, is that what the Midnights can handle?
I don't know.
You said 250?
Travis.
Okay, so that's so he fed the high voltage in.
He says Prius used 1 gallon for 16 hours at 500 watts.
That's fantastic.
That's not bad.
See, that's what I'm going for. How I don't actually remember on the Prius, Travis, you had to get access to that under the hood, right? Did you have to, like, did the car care, I guess? Because you just, where you tapped in, I imagine it's still charging the high voltage battery as well, and then you're also tapping off to charge, to run your Midnight. I guess the car didn't freak out about it.
Elementary says, no, I'm actually being serious. Lights are actually out.
I'm sorry, man.
Dan says, can have a great system for cheap if you watch for deals. Apparently. Travis also says, Prius costs 50 cents per kilowatt hour.
50 cents per kilowatt hour. For backup? That's great.
Yeah. Car didn't care.
Car didn't care.
Or car don't care.
Alright, we have a rectifier in now.
Nice.
So let's run this to the charge controller and come back out over here.
Alright.
They are blown from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy.
Oh, what am I stepping in? Okay. Shakiness has ended.
One thing I'm going to do too, I was debating if I should do the capacitor now or not. Maybe one of y'all know. The difference between a solar charge controller and a wind controller. I know that with wind, they typically have dump loads. Because the deal is you don't want the turbine to overspeed if your battery's full. So you got to have somewhere to dump the load to so that it doesn't go unloaded and destroy itself. But other than that, I'm thinking that there needs to be a cap, and maybe there is inside here anyway, between the PV positive and PV negative, so that the rectified voltage off of the rectifier is a little more smooth so that you don't have the peaks, because this is not going to want something over 190 volts. Something I was debating. I need to go ahead and plug those things in. I was actually planning, I think, on using, well, I guess I was planning on using both of these. I don't have anywhere to plug my capacitor.
Alright, we got a bunch of chat messages.
Oh, cool.
Ken says, I have 21 320 Renogy panels. I don't know if that was meant for a previous comment, I guess.
21 of the 320?
Yeah. And Travis says, I tie in at the dead end of the relay by the HV battery.
At the where?
At the HV battery, at the dead end of the relay.
Dead end of the relay. Okay.
Says, Prius can make 6 kilowatts easy at idle and 100 kilowatts when you hold the gas down. And I guess Ken's also saying on 5 strings, 48 volts with the panels. I lost track of that conversation, but Dan and Ken seem to have a good conversation going there. Oh, Get Real says can't hardly hear Abe.
Can't hear Abe?
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Why don't you talk a little louder?
All right, I'll talk louder, especially when we're out here. I know it's noisy.
Yeah.
I've probably got links stuck in my iPhone too.
Oh yeah, Lauren says the warehouse doors are rattling really loud and she can't hear you.
Lauren said?
Yeah.
Thanks, Lauren. I wonder if we plugged the microphone in, if it would take it over immediately.
We'll find out.
We might need it while we're out here.
Yeah. I saw in here.
I think I threw it up front.
Oh yeah. Okay. Ooh. Almost threw your phone out.
All right. Me, because now we plugged in an external mic to see if it would work any better, but I don't know how the iPhone's going to handle that, seeing as we were already streaming and we changed our input source.
Elementary says wind is like 27 miles per hour. It says 6 AYLL 48 volts in rack IC. I really don't know enough for that. He said, Elementary says we can hear you perfectly now.
Okay, good.
Yes, better. Get Real says he's in a camper in Oklahoma. Wind is rocking good.
Yeah, I bet the wind is going good up there. That this wind was literally sucking the panels that I had staged on my roof and throwing them into the backyard.
Travis says much better, louder, and no more background noise. Dan also says better.
Am I yelling at you guys now? Should I calm down?
Lawrence is better. Oh, but we can barely hear camera guy now. Okay, so I need to yell now.
Now Ben has to yell.
I was keeping it quiet because I was closer to the camera.
Right. So. Now I need wires. So I've got my battery wires to my inverter, but now I need wires from the inverter to the charge controller. Can you follow me a little bit?
Yes.
There's one. And then I bet you I've got a negative over there somewhere. Yeah, I appreciate your feedback, guys.
I now figured out how to work the comments here.
Oh.
You just need to swipe on the side. You don't have to go into the menu and turn the comments on. I wonder what this button does.
Famous last words. I wonder what this button does.
All it can do, you can put filters on it, and nobody wants filters.
Is there an Honest Abe filter?
I don't know, we got Beam, Blush, Pop, Crush, Glow, Slate, Noir, Dawn, and a bunch of other stuff. Let's get. Yeah, I'm not gonna try those today.
I'm gonna try not to mess up and cause sparks today. That's gonna be one of my main goals. No sparks.
Hey, anything for the video, right?
Yeah, I already did that once today.
I already figured out where the fire extinguisher is. So
You got it? Okay,
yeah,
good.
I see it over there.
Yeah, Ben was asking me on the way over. He's like, so you have a fire extinguisher? No faith. No faith.
Gabriel says, I see you have a new charge controller. Lol. Hello.
Yeah, it looks all shiny now, right? This is the only one that was sitting on my desk. I forget where I put my other Palmister. So this one I haven't actually done a video on. I did a video on the 40 amp make Sky Blue that they accidentally shipped me. Can you walk this way? Mm-hmm. And this one's been sitting on my desk waiting for me to do something.
Oh, Travis says he's the guy that's going to try paralleling the H6.
Oh, cool. You'll probably beat me to it then, because I've got 2 H6s sitting in my utility room waiting to be turned on if my solar panels don't all fly off the roof.
And he's trying to tie the Prius to the H6.
I mean, hadn't thought of that. But why not? Because it just needs, wasn't it like 120 volts to start? I can't find another black wire. I thought we had a black one. Maybe I've got something over here.
Here's a red one and a Sharpie.
Red one and a Sharpie, yes. Well, I was hoping one already had the terminal and everything on it. Did I throw something in here? No. Because there would have been a matching wire for this. But I don't know where I put it. Here, I thought I had everything ready.
Oh, Travis says 3 H6 combined, and the Prius is 190 volts to 250 at idle.
Perfect.
And Ken
That
says,
seems ideal.
Is that V119 Wi-Fi makes sky blue?
Yep, that's the one.
Is that
The Wi-Fi.
the Wi-Fi one? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so it was powered on. I saw the Wi-Fi. I haven't actually tried connecting to it. I think I was a little freaked out about it because it's one of those that you have to use Android and it's not in the App Store. You have to go sideload the app. And I'm like, there's not even a web interface. Like, just give me a web interface. I don't want to go sideload an app on an Android.
Yeah, I always wonder, like you don't need an app to like display anything on a website. An ESP8266 can serve you a full website with JavaScript and everything on it, like holy thing. And the chip is like this big.
Yeah, like, I mean, they should, isn't that what's in here? Didn't you see it? Wasn't this the one where you looked at it and was like, oh, that's the one I used for...
Oh, that's that one,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
I think that's what that is. So I guess it's just a matter of, who knows, maybe you can get to a website and they just say use the app.
Maybe.
Could hope.
But they would have had to make a website, so...
I just realized that I'm not fused between the charge controller and the inverter. However, the inverter has fuses built in, and there's a BMS with overcurrent protection at 60 amps on the battery. So everything on this side is protected. It just wouldn't be near as convenient to have to open up the inverter to get to the fuses.
Travis says the Prius DC is unclean and throws arc fault on H6 after a few minutes. Says I'm going to smooth it out with inductors, capacitors for the next test.
Okay, and I guess that's inductors. Okay. See this, yeah.
Because they should catch like AC ripple.
Okay. Whereas I was just thinking capacitor, because I'm just a delay guy.
My electronics class is a little too long ago for that.
Sounds like this building's about to fall over.
Yeah, it does. Might have to leave you here in a second and switch to pants because my legs are getting really cold.
Yeah. You want me to hold it for a sec?
Yeah, that'd be great. Oh, that's a lot better.
Yeah, it's a little breezy in here. Whew. I want my socket back. Okay, so we have AC into a rectifier. We've got fused DC, which will be fairly high voltage, into the charge controller. This is a 60 amp charge controller, which means it could pull up to 2.8 kilowatts off of that rectifier. That rectifier is rated at 100 amps and 1600 volts, so that should be plenty. And then we've got that running over to the inverter, which is in parallel with the battery. My BMS is not connected currently. I've got my sense leads pulled out so that I had no voltage. So the first step is what I'm doing right now, which is making sure everything looks good. Actually got this is all set up faster than I figured it would be.
Travis says, let there be smoke.
Let there be, yeah, thanks, Travis. I feel like you can say that since you've done this. Okay, well, let's plug a BMS in. Dan's over there like, I do everything correctly. Just buy a generator. You're not wrong, Dan.
Hey, but this generator also takes you around town.
Yeah, for now, until I rip the motor out and put it on a stand so that I can use it as a generator.
Did you have a spare motor?
I had a spare Civic.
Oh,
The same exact Civic.
Yeah, and you had a spare motor at some point.
Oh, right, I did. It didn't have the important piece. Because I bought it.
Oh, so that's on the garage floor right now, like stuck to the jack?
It was the outside piece. What's the outside piece with the magnet? No, not the magnets. I had the piece of the magnets that's on the inside. The outside piece of the coils.
Okay.
I burnt it up on this car.
Oh.
So I bought this car. This car has a history because I bought it not working. The hybrid system was freaking out. And I was like, I can fix that, no problem. It's probably got a bad battery. Battery was fine, ironically. It was a 15-year-old nickel metal hydride battery. It was fine. The car had 67,000 miles on it. So then here we go. I'm going into the history of the car because you have to go in the history of the car before you break it, right?
Yeah.
So I bought the car for like $1,500, which, I mean, it was probably a little pricey considering the car didn't really work. There was the whole excursion of like putting a brand new battery in it, and then you have to keep the RPMs above like 1,500 in order for the high voltage motor to generate electricity, to use the DC to DC to charge the 12 volts so that your headlights and your dashboard and your oh my gosh, what are the little things that shoot injectors that shoot fuel? The injectors, because the injectors run off 12 volts. So I had to keep the engine RPM up high to keep the battery charged so everything still worked, and got it home. But I looked at the battery, I was like, oh, battery's fine. And I looked at everything else, and what it was these three little sensors on the electric motor between the engine and transmission had gone bad. And that was what told the engine, or told the computer where the crankshaft was so it knew how to start the car with the big electric motor instead of using the 12-volt starter. And those were gonna be like $300 brand new. And I couldn't find any used ones because who has parts for these things? These cars were fairly rare. So I went and bought a junkyard engine just for those little three sensors. And I did that swap. And then on the way home one day, my car lost all electric power. I got home and there's electric burnt smell coming from the hood. And turns out I shorted something in one of the three phases and it burned up all the coils of that phase. So I had the motor sitting there, so I was able to pull the coils off of that motor and put it on this one. So Anyway, yes, I had an extra engine. It wouldn't have done us any good for this.
Oh, okay. So Travis says, what year is the Civic?
It's a 05,
05.
2005. Yeah, the
And
Civic
he
is.
says, yep, my first generation Insight does that.
Yeah, same basic thing. It's just got 3 cylinders instead of 4, right? Okay.
This is the powerful, the sport model.
The sport model, yes. You know, shorter gear transmissions. Actually, maybe it's, I forget if the Civic or the Insight had the shorter gears. I guess it would make sense if the Insight had shorter gears.
Travis says, was there smoke? I think yes.
Was there? Yes, there was smoke. There was. It was smelling a bit. It scared me a little bit. You open the hood and it's just like there's smoke coming out. It doesn't look like I'm getting voltage, which is kind of weird. I'm gonna grab my multimeter because I should be getting voltage.
Dan says, hey, you can get the camera guy, put him on an exercise bike with a washing machine motor and he can be human generator.
There we go.
Yeah, no thanks, my biking days are over.
Your biking days are over?
Yeah, I've done that.
Uh-oh. 10 volts ain't much. I may need to jumpstart this battery.
Oh.
Let's see if this battery has voltage without the BMS. Okay, so the BMS is not activated. Yeah, I think the BMS leaks a little voltage, and so it creeps up to just high enough to charge a capacitor maybe in the inverter, and then this comes on and then goes right back off again. I think what I need to do is short the this side of the BMS to the main negative, and it'll start. Let me grab a wire. I forget.
Now we're purposely shorting stuff?
Yeah, now we're purposely, but it's negative to negative, so you know, it's fine, right? So if I go negative on the battery, now I gotta access, I need a longer wire, so I'm not gonna kill something here. Surely I've got a longer wire around here somewhere. There we go, that'll work.
That sparked.
It did spark, but it worked. All right, so our charge controller's on now.
Jumper. I assume jumper is the right word.
Jumper is what, yes, that's what I did.
That was
It's only missing a little bit of copper. It's fine. I suppose that would be where you'd use a resistor instead of a wire.
How about next time you touch it to the battery first and make the spark on the inverter?
But you think the batteries would explode, maybe, if they've got fire near them?
Maybe.
I think that's fair. This is the scary part where I guess we're supposed to turn the car on. So we're at 52 volts now. Let's see what this shows, 52. I should probably set this up according to my battery. How many S battery is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 S. 14S at 4.2 volts is 58.8. And let's see how accurate our Make Sky Blue is. It's pretty close. So I could go like, let's just go 58 volts.
Travis says, I did that with the H6 and it popped the fuse.
Whoops. Let's go 58.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. It's already set to 58.
Are we still live? Yes, okay.
Oh, we are?
I
Okay.
just had to disable your notifications.
Oh.
Couldn't see the screen.
All right, so it's set to lithium charging. So that should be CCCV D03. I think that's the output load. So it'll cut off at 40 volts. I'm not using that though. But I've got float and bulk both at 58 volts. And 58.8 would be 4.2 volts per cell. So that should be fine. So that's set up correctly. I guess I could check and make sure the inverter's working correctly. I've got a heater here.
So it says 500 volts, 66 kilowatts valence on H6. Oh, heater is nice.
Oh yeah, you know. Ben's like, can you point that at me?
Yeah, I'm always cold unless it's Texas summer.
Okay, we're working,
Nice. It looks like a toaster.
right?
Ooh.
What are we at? 49.6 volts. We should probably turn that off for now.
Look, it's that good heat stream 1000. Something's complaining.
Dang it. I think the BMS just cut out. I guess that battery was almost dead.
Oops.
I mean, it's supposed to come back on its own. $52 volts still. So one of those cells might be a little out of balance. I don't know. So what's 52? I got down to like 49.6 and it cut out. What would that be? 49.6 over 14 cells. That's like 3.54 volts a cell. So I bet you one or more of those cells are a little out of balance. It's been a while since I've used this battery, so it's been sitting and not balancing. Okay, so in here, I talked about it earlier, but we've got the battery off, and that's just general safety. These are the high voltage DC, so that's the 144 volts coming out or into the battery. Over into this cavity, you've got some nice big capacitors, probably for, you know, rectifying and smoothing out this DC or this AC coming in. I've got my 100 amp rectifier coming off of the lines that run straight up to the electric motor up in the engine bay, and then my fused DC lines that's going to be nice dirty power into the charge controller. So what I'm hoping for here right now is that this power isn't so dirty that I'm going to hit over 190 volt peak on my DC. So hopefully with it idling, I'm not hitting over 190. Worst case scenario, I blow up a $140 charge controller. I think that's worst case scenario. I guess worst would be like something catching on fire, in which case Ben knows to run for the fire extinguisher.
Hey, if you burn the charge controller up, that's the smallest loss of the day.
Yeah, don't remind me. Guys, don't store solar panels on your roof unless they're actually bolted down to something.
Travis says, jump it again, but use pre-charge resistor.
Yes, you're right.
And make sky smoky.
Make sky smoky.
That's what we're trying to not do.
Okay, we're gonna do a full send. We're gonna call it full send. So, got keys in my pocket.
And guys, we do have enough air in here so that we don't suffocate. Oh.
What?
Hang on. Okay, so Dan says, make Honda smoky.
Make Honda smoky, okay.
Get Rita says, voice be getting divorced.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay then. We got 20% battery. How long is that going to last?
Oh, nice. I don't know.
Well, we have to choose between battery and microphone.
Yeah, it's true. Man, that ran the battery down fast.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. My IMA light's already on. It already knows my battery's disconnected. You know what, I guess I should really get a voltmeter set up so that when I fire that up, and if it's too high voltage, we can go ahead and shut it off. Do you want to, why don't you go ahead and unplug the mic now?
We'll strap the battery pack in there.
It'd be helpful to have a phone cord. I've got one in my car.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah.
Hold on, people. We're probably thinking that we're delaying on purpose. We gotta make sure we capture the carnage, though, if it happens. You know?
This is recorded, right, on YouTube?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
need some tape?
Yeah, tape's probably.
There's electrical tape.
Nice.
Works for everything.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm setting the charge controller to show the PV input voltage. So we're going to leave bin over here. Watching the charge controller. That's where the interesting stuff is happening anyway.
Okay. Hang on while I make
I'll
this
start the car.
camera work.
Assuming it'll start, because you know, it's going to have some resistance.
Right, that is charging. What am I looking at? What am I doing?
So here on the left is the PV voltage.
Okay.
So we're hoping that doesn't go over 190. 190's max.
Okay.
So if it hits 190, just yell stop. If it doesn't, tell me what it is.
All right. I got this. We got 60, 59,
Yeah, that's good.
54.
We're pushing 500 watts, 600 watts. It's still climbing.
Ooh.
No static electricity, hopefully. So
So far, nothing's on fire.
yeah.
That's encouraging.
Should have brought my infrared camera. Okay. We're up at 950 watts. So our battery is charging at a whopping 16 amps. This is why I did a 48 volt battery. But actually, at this voltage, I could do a 12 volt battery on here. It would only charge at about this wattage. But that means this setup could work for charging a 12 volt battery.
AKA the battery in your car.
Oh, I just now got what you said about we're in a big open area. You're talking about the exhaust from the car,
Yes.
not like things burning up.
No, the exhaust, yeah. And there's
I started
plenty of
smelling
airflow.
it, and I was like, oh. But yeah, you're right. There's plenty of airflow in here. So it's kind of dropping off. That's weird. Oh, you know what? The engine might be idling down.
It
See, and this is what I was wondering, is how high you've got to have the idle in order to get reasonable current off of it. So let me go rev it up a little bit.
Should I rev it up and you watch it?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Just just see if you can hit like 1,000, 1,200. I think it idles down at like,
We got 1,000.
oh, it's already 1,000? Yeah. So rev it up to 12 or 13. Let's see what it does.
Battery charging light on, like the regular battery light.
Yeah, because it has no charging system right now.
Oh, okay.
That's a little awkward,
All right.
but you know,
Don't give it a little bit.
okay.
That's 1,500.
It's down to 13 watts. Did it charge the battery? No? Okay, now we're up there. Now we're up at 500, 400,
All right, that's like
75 volts.
It's like 1,400.
All right, Travis is asking how hot the rectifier is. I really wish I had brought my infrared. I'm gonna touch the plastic case of it here. I don't feel anything higher than body temperature on that thing. So that feels fine. You can go ahead and rev it a little more. We're at 70 volts. 95, that was okay. That's 150, don't go any higher than that.
It jumped on its own. It's at 2.5 now.
Oh.
24.
It jumped on its own?
Yeah, I pushed it and then it like went slowly and jumped.
So what about now? Are you holding it or no?
I'm holding it now.
Okay. Yeah, there's something weird going on because now it's at 40 watts. Let me turn the heater on. Oh, helps to have the inverter on.
Should I lift or?
Yeah, go ahead and let it idle again.
Alright.
All right, so we're back down to idle. Yeah, Travis, the fire starter, you're right. He's talking about the cardboard.
Oh. That's a good point.
Okay, so this is weird. I don't know. It's only pulling 7 watts. Now, of course, right now it's down at 42 volts, so it's not going to be able to pull anything because that's a lower voltage than the battery. So I'm wondering, we might need to go ahead and hook this up to a 12-volt battery and see what it does there, because I'd really like to be able to do it at idle without having to rev the engine. And if at idle it's only getting me 43 volts, that would be really good for a 12-volt system.
Do the volts go up with the high RPM?
Do what?
Do the volts go up with RPM?
Yeah. Yeah, volts go up with the RPM. So, okay, go ahead and rev it a little bit. Let's get it up to like 60 volts. I realize that's hard for you to know because you don't know what voltage it's at, but yeah, there you go. Hold it right there.
I dropped on its own right now.
Okay, so it's doing some weird stuff. It pulled 1200 watts there for a second.
Alright, let me rev it again. So I'm holding it. And now I didn't do anything on the pedal.
Okay, now it's at 2000 watts.
Oh, now load kicked in. It loaded up now.
Ah.
It loaded the engine up. I hear it on the engine.
Yeah, I mean, it's at 2 kilowatts. We're charging now.
At 1200 RPM right now.
So it might be that earlier I needed to turn that heater on. That was one thing I was worrying about was this battery is very small. So with the battery being small, it could have been that it was hitting a high voltage pretty quickly and going into constant voltage mode, so constant current, so it wasn't pulling much on the engine.
Yeah. I feel it. It is pulling from the engine now.
Yeah, it sounds like it's under load.
And I'm holding it down now.
And you're at about 1200, so we're 1200 RPM. Oh man, what would be really great now is if I had my readout to see how many gallons per minute we're using.
Oh yeah.
Dang it.
It's in my car.
Yeah. And unless it's hidden under a seat here, I don't know where mine's at.
No.
I've already looked in here. Oh well. Well. Okay, so it works. Let's see what we're at still. Now let's see how warm things are. 2.1 kilowatts.
Dang, that's not bad.
My fuse holders are getting a little warm. They're pretty Chinesium. The rectifier is getting a little warm. It's not hot. But it's definitely getting warm.
You smell something?
I do.
What are we smelling?
I don't know. Here, let me get closer to it. It's probably my fire starter that I'm smelling. I don't know. Yeah, I wish I had my thermal camera. I should have had my thermal camera.
Do you have a backup 12-volt battery to start this car?
Yeah, I've got a battery over there that's a lithium iron phosphate 12 volt.
Alright, so we can run this battery down.
Yeah. I should probably just jump. I should have brought my jumper cables. I thought about doing it, and then I was like, I don't need jumper cables. I need everything. Yeah, we're still at 2.2 kilowatts. All right, that's pretty successful. Yeah, go ahead and lift. Let's see what it does. I mean, it should drop to 0 because the voltage is going to drop.
Yeah, well, like it's like 750 now, like 800.
Oh, go ahead and go back. I want to see. I didn't pay attention to how much amperage it said was going into the battery.
All right, I'm ready.
So it hit a fault there, which was probably a high voltage fault.
Yeah, it didn't put load on.
So back it back down. Let's see if the fault goes away. Okay, fault went away. And try it again.
Yeah, I tried a little slower this time. Now the load is on.
Now that everything's shut off,
Really?
I think this is my battery buffer's not big enough. So I was running the heater at full blast. So it probably ran my battery down while we were trying to get readjusted.
Oops.
So let me just restart my battery here real quick. Hold on.
Should I shut it off? Or?
Yeah. Let me grab my
We can catch the sparks.
let me grab my instant pre-charge resistor here.
Gotta get a good angle on the sparks. That's what gets the viewers, right?
Uh-oh. There it goes.
Crap. That was a big spark.
It sounds like the fan was stuck. It's not hot. Okay. Let's see what we're at. 53 volts. Go ahead and start it back up. All right, so rev it just a little bit. Let's get it charging.
There's no load yet. There we go. So a little bit of load. It's like less than it had.
I tried to turn the heater on. It was too much.
Oh no.
It's charging at 12 amps right now, which is about 700 watts.
Should I give it more?
That's okay. It's up to 18, 20 amps. I'm gonna turn the heater on now.
Oh yeah.
That's
Don't
20.
get load.
So we're at 1300 watts now. Try a little more power. See what it does. 30, 39, 40 amps. Oh, 2.5 kilowatts. 43 amps.
That's like just shy of 1500.
2600 watts. 2700 watts. 46 amps.
Yeah, that's 2500, 26 now.
2.8 kilowatts. 2.9 kilowatts. But it's only 50 amps to the battery.
Oh, okay.
So our calculations earlier was that 2.8 kilowatts should only be about 4 horsepower. That engine sounds like it's under a lot of load.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much efficiency we're losing here.
Well, the coolant temperature says it's fine, right? That means nothing's overheating. That's how that works, right?
I guess so. I mean, I suppose we're definitely working the electric motor a little harder than it's used to, considering it's usually moving whenever it's going, and it's kind of in
Yeah.
short bursts, whether it's gen or boost or regen.
Yeah. Well, but then again, like it goes like until like the regular is 6.
Right, but
So it should be handling that.
I guess it's just how much heat soak it can take. The electric, like the coils and the magnets and all that stuff. But I know people take these cars and they'll do 40%, 50% boost on the current. They'll trick the voltage and do a 50% boost or 30% boost, and so I don't know. It's probably overbuilt. I might kill my car. How's the rectifier? Let's see. I can still hold my finger on it. That's a measurement, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely warm. I couldn't hold it on there too long. I'm sure there are better rectifiers out there.
Try this at home. You might need like a contraption to hold the gas pedal in one steady position.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I'm wondering, that's what I'm thinking. If this was going to be something that other people could do, it might be better to have this on a 12-volt battery instead of a 48.
Yeah.
Can you try it?
Yeah. I mean, if you have a 12 volt.
Yeah. Let's do it. I wonder if I have a 12-volt inverter. I may not. Go ahead and shut it down. All right, so I don't know if I got a 12-volt load. That's the only thing. That's the only. Oh, I've got that big 100-amp instant load that I can use. Battery tester. I got a 100-amp battery tester. That'll keep our voltage low enough that we can
It's just
run.
basically a space heater.
Basically,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. Here, you hold this.
Yes.
All right. Now, first things first is to disable the BMS.
All right. Let me check the comments real quick.
yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, while you're checking comments. So
Yeah.
for those who maybe just joined us, because it looks like we've been going for like 76 minutes. This is so much fun. The premise was have a hybrid, and technically it's got a 10 kilowatt electric generator inside of it, so why not use that to charge a battery so that when it's snowmageddon again and your solar's not producing but you have a backup battery, you can charge a battery and run things in your house. Why not?
Very specific use case, but
It's a very specific use case, but I think other people could build on that if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to hack the Civic Hybrid to be a battery charger, I feel like they all would have their own use cases. And that's fine. So basically we took the three-phase output from the motor up front and we ran it through a rectifier into just a standard solar charge controller, and we were able to charge a 48-volt battery and run a space heater off of it to keep the voltage low enough so that we could get current in, and it ran up to the Make Sky Blue said we were pulling in like 2.9 kilowatts, pushing 50 amps out to the battery, which is the hardest that I've made one of these work at 48 volts. That was pretty impressive. The fan actually, I don't know that the fan ever actually kicked on. We didn't run it long enough for this to get too terribly hot. Anyway, were there some comments?
yes. So we have. I think Travis. Oh, that's a long time ago. He says the CC says fault.
Oh yes.
But that was,
I think that was
yeah.
I think that's the dirty power. I think if we had capacitors, if we had a capacitor using the positive and negative on the input from the rectifier, I think that would help a little bit, because it looked like if we hit like 140, 150 volts, it was hitting high voltage, which means it was probably spiking over 190 into the charge controller.
All right. Thank you, Get Real, for the invitation to like the video. It says everyone hit the like
Yes, I
button and we'll
appreciate
bring more
that.
people to the video. 14 people, 7 likes. Come on, hit that like button. That'd be nice. Travis says, again, charge controller says fault when you had the voltage up to 120. And Dan says, well, it's working, that's cool. Gary says, good job.
We did a thing!
Yes, and Travis says Prius 12 volt is good for 1 kilowatt.
I mean, even that's simple, right?
And we're hard to
A
hear again.
kilowatt.
Oh,
Do what?
so we're hard to hear again.
We're hard to
So,
hear again.
Yeah,
But where's our battery at?
good question. 28?
Yikes.
Uh,
All right, we're gonna do a little less talking, and we're gonna change this over from a 48 volt setup to a 12 volt setup. The problem there being, I think that we can't leave the engine idling to charge a 48 volt battery, because the voltage coming out of the car is at like 45 volts once the engine warms up. But if we had a 12 volt battery, that would be plenty to charge a 12 volt battery. So instead of having to sit in the car and hold the pedal down or figure something out to hold the pedal, and that pedal is actually electronically controlled in the engine bay, which is probably why you're having some weird issues with it, like jumping RPMs and stuff.
I think the RPMs were because of the load on it.
Okay.
So I pressed it down and it revved up, and then suddenly
it
like
dropped the load?
dropped. And I think it dropped the load, and then it revved higher up.
Makes sense. And that would be better. This would be better with the 12 volt battery. This one's only like 800 watt hours. If I grab that 12 volt battery, it's like 2.5 kilowatt hours. So I'll have a lot more buffer to work with to keep it under load to see what it's doing. So
real quick, not real quick, very carefully, we're going to disconnect this 48 volt setup and put a 12 volt setup on it and see how well it works there.
Nice.
I need that.
Travis says, does the Honda shut down and restart its ICE during idle? I don't think it does.
It does
only...
not. It does not. The Prius is better at that. I'm curious how well did that work with your Midnight Classic? Because I know that would work with like the 12 volt version. Because I know you can just hook an inverter up to the 12 volt side, and like you said, run like a 1 kilowatt generator basically, and the ICE will come on and off to keep that 12 volt lead acid charged. Well, I guess it's really keeping the high voltage battery charged. The high voltage battery is doing a DC to DC conversion to keep the 12 volt battery charged constantly. It's constantly giving it voltage or current, which is then powering your inverter. So with the hybrid pack is like what, 800 watt hours. So that means it's probably got like, 330 watt hours that it can dip down into feeding the 12 volt battery to the 12 volt inverter, and then when it gets down to that level it can fire up the ICE, charge the high voltage battery again, and then do that all over again. And that is beautiful. Like, for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people have done it, that's beautiful because it turns on and off. This would be more of a, you can get some more power out of it, like plugging into the hybrid 3-phase of the Prius. You get more power out of it and maybe do a charge something for 2 or 3 hours and then not have to use it for a few more hours. But then you have to have a battery bank. So definitely two animals there. Big battery, 12 volts. Ironically, my 48 volt battery is not big. It's just high power. I think you can pull a lot of amps out of that. Let's see if we can make this guy work. Hopefully my terminals are big enough to fit in these lugs. Am I talking loud enough? I know that it's bad without my lav mic on. I just forgot that my iPhone dies with 1 hour of use.
How easy is it to switch to my phone?
Oof, I don't know. I've never done that.
Me neither. It wouldn't even matter because I only have 50% battery anyways.
Oh, my terminals are too small. Not my terminals. My terminals are too big. I wonder how much current I can get through that.
Yeah, Gabriel, we know the mic was great, but the battery is about to die on the iPhone, so that's why we had to swap the camera, the mic off. Because, iPhone 8 doesn't have a headphone jack. That sparked.
I scared myself.
No, it's the charging port is blocked by the charger. We can't charge and have the microphone at the same time. Oh, Dan says he's seen the battery when he was here.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Thanks. Okay, so can't push a whole lot of current through those. I guess we'll see what it does at idle. Okay, so that was easy enough.
That's it?
I think it is. We're at 13.1 volts, so I think it's almost charged. We'll see what it does.
Yeah, it's those cheap iPhones, I know.
It's cheap iPhones.
Yeah.
What are we at now?
I don't know. 31?
Let's go ahead and do it.
Probably good enough.
Don't
We'll
have
just
a lot else to
run
do.
it to like 10%.
All right, we have real mic back. Can we do a mic check? Y'all hear me okay? Now we gotta wait like 20, 30 seconds for it to actually go through this whole stream thing and then the chat to come back and
Yep. Just keep going.
yeah. I guess I will hold this. Would you go start the car?
Well, I guess in that case, we're gonna wait until they actually confirm that they can hear us.
We'll all chill then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better.
Perfect. We'll get better, guys. We have better equipment. I just wasn't prepared for tonight, and I really wanted to do this. So, forgive me.
Dang, your clutch pedal is so soft.
Yeah, I think my clutch pedal isn't right.
Oh, okay. We good?
Yes. Go for it. No revving, just idle. Yeah, it's pulling 600 watts, 700.
Feel the car, it's like loading.
Oh my goodness. 900 watts, 60 amps, maxed it out. Wow.
I got a little better, but
So, I mean, I guess that's cool and all, but the Prius can do that, and it can cycle its engine on and off doing that. So, we got beat by Toyota.
dang it.
But it's limiting itself. It's sitting right at about 60 amps. That battery's almost charged. It's about done. Travis, you ran that thing for 6 months like that? That's fantastic. Yeah, he said, and it did like 10 minutes. So he said the Prius ran for 10 minutes off, 2 minutes on, with a 500 watt load.
Wow.
So Travis, you said is that the load that you calculated your 50 cents a kilowatt hour at? Was about the 500 watt load?
I don't know, the engine's a little shaky.
A little shaky. I think we're good. Like,
Shut it off?
we did proof of concept. Yeah, go ahead and shut it off. Is there something we missed, guys? Because like the beauty of doing this live is that we're sitting here doing it, and if we forgot something, you know, like fuses, then you can tell us. Oh wait, you did tell us. So far we've kept safe. The only sparks that were initiated were ones that I purposely created, except for the one where I was connecting the 12 volt. I forgot that was going to spark. Just because it was pulling current into the charge controller to start it. I don't know.
Oh, wow. I already got 12 people watching now. That's the highest I've seen.
Cool. Well, thank you all for joining. It's been fun. It looks like we'll be able to put my car back together and get home, so I don't think, as far as I know, I haven't killed anything.
I don't know what Travis is saying here. Just
I think he's saying it would be better if his AGM wasn't dead. Probably the little. Yeah, that fan doesn't sound quite right.
nope.
I took that charge controller apart and put it back together, so don't blame that one on Make Sky Blue. It could be that I've got something.
Stuck in there.
Yeah, it could be I stuck something in there.
Yeah. Dan says, well, it went really good. Keep it up, brother, and text me when you get those panels in.
Yeah, I will, Dan. I talked to my supplier today. He called me, and he said they were on the road yesterday. So he was actually asking if they showed up today, which I thought was kind of soon because they're coming from like Delaware. But I expect them tomorrow. I'll probably be coming down here to unload 28 pallets of panels into this warehouse. So it's, yeah. Actually, I probably need to do some reorganizing tonight so I can get ready for them. So that's probably what I'll do when I sign off here.
Gary says, good job, man. Travis says, I had nowhere to put the power from the Prius.
Nowhere to put the power. Yeah, because, I mean, I guess that would be cool with the Prius, right? Because you could probably improve on that 10-2 if you, that 10 minutes on, 2 minutes, or sorry, 10 minutes off, 2 minutes on, if you gave it a little bit bigger of a buffer battery.